Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to usaprepares.com. We're delighted you're here, and we broadcast 2 hours from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. Nathan is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota at GCN, corporate headquarters. I'm Vincent Finelli, and we've got a listen line if you'd like to listen to the broadcast. Take us with you as you travel. 605-477-3249. 605-477-3249. If you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. Toll free, 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Today's special broadcast, saving money and making what you have last longer, with Mike Parsons and me. Combined, we have about 100 years of experience in finding more efficient ways to do things, how to make things last longer. We know lots of things that don't work, and we're going to share with you things that do work. Welcome, Mike Parsons.
Greetings, Vincent.
Hey, Mike, I really want to thank you for changing your schedule to be on the air today with our class. You've got a wealth of information, and you've been to the farm, and we've done some things together. And I thought, what a great way to go to share how to save money from a guy who knows how to negotiate, a guy who knows how to buy, a guy who knows how to innovate, improvise, fabricate. And I thought we could put our heads together and do this. And let me tell you the story that got this thing going. So I was reading the internet, Mike, and there's this woman in Colorado, and I believe she has between an eighth of an acre and a quarter of an acre. And she was all upset because she had agreed to have a lawn company come and cut her lawn. And she was quoted $225 for this. Now, an eighth of an acre, I'm estimating, but I may be a little bit off, but I can't be too far off. Her front yard might be 50 feet by 50 feet. Her side yard might be 15 feet by 50 feet. That's 15 feet by 50 feet. And her backyard might be 50 feet by 50 feet. Because her house sits on this 1/8 of an acre. It could be a quarter, but I don't think so. The original quote was $225 to cut her lawn. And the lawn company felt that they underbid this job. And they were so angry that she would not pay them the $425 that they now wanted from the original $225, that they took a truckload of branches and leaves and lawn clippings and dumped it all over her front lawn. So they started a war with her. They agreed on $225, which was way more than it should have been in the first place. The lawn company then wants $425, $200 more. She says no, she's not going to pay us, so they dumped this trash on her lawn. Well, the news media got involved, and this lawn care company got a real black eye, because why would anybody do something like that? Why would they do that? Take revenge that way. Especially when they're wrong. Especially when they agreed upon, the original price of $225. Well, I saw that and I thought, how is that possible that having your lawn cut can cost $225 for this little postage stamp size lawn? Well, I looked it up, Mike. The lowest price that a lawn is cut in the United States, according to the internet, with, almost a couple thousand people participating in the survey. A low is $35. The average is $160, and the high for having your lawn cut, and edged and trimmed and that kind of thing, $600. Is that crazy or what?
That's insane. But it's the sign of the times.
That's exactly the word I use, Mike, when I describe this on the air. So today's broadcast is about how to save money. Now, let's start with, do you want to pick one of your favorite, or you want me to start?
Well, real quick before I begin, I just want to say that I hope I didn't, but I might have had something to do with that woman's problem, in that when I was in college, one of the guys I went to college with, he, like me, we both were working and going to school full time, and he was looking for a way to make extra money, and I suggested, well, you're already mowing lawns. Why don't you do this? Just mow lawns for banks, because they've got more money, obviously. They've got smaller yards to mow, and if you're on time and you look good, you sound good, and you can undercut the competition by $10, you'll get a lot of business, and it won't take long, and you won't have to worry about people looking for a check that might bounce. You're going to get a bank that's guaranteeing the payment right then. And so he did this. He took my advice, and true to my philosophy of being independent, self-sufficient, and self-governing, he applied some of the principles I recommended, and he made right at $30,000 the first year. Now, this is back in 1981. $30,000 in 1981 mowing grass is a huge amount of money in Memphis, Tennessee. But that's what he did, and he kept doing that. He did graduate. We graduated together, but he never utilized his degree. He kept mowing grass. And then he eventually went on vacation to Colorado and ended up moving out there to a little town called Aurora, Colorado, right outside of Denver. And that's where he's got a large lawn mowing business. I hope it's not his business that this lady is dealing with, but he basically only deals with banks, and if a landowner that's got a large lot like that calls, he's going to do it if they're willing to pay what he would charge a bank. And it could be that he's helped drive the prices up because he really only wants to deal with banks, because that seems to be where all the money is. And so hopefully I haven't contributed to her problem there. But yeah, I know that as the topic is saving money and such, I want to also talk about saving resources, because the end of the day is that money is just only one source of value, and resources have value. And remember, when the money fails food and the ability to replace and secure food, it could be more valuable than gold, and certainly more valuable than the fiat currency or the digital currencies that some people are using in their accounts in cyberspace. And it would be as simple as, you having the ability to replace what you've got that could make the difference between life and death. So therefore, you want things that are renewable, and you will also want to be able to store those things and protect those things against, predators and exposure. So I'd like to also kind of touch on those things. And one of the things also I wanted to mention is that, regardless if you're using currency or barter, just the basic philosophy is to never borrow. As the Bible says, the borrower is slave to the lender. And, I for one have never had a car note. I'm 55 and I've paid cash. If I didn't have the money in my pocket right then to buy it, I didn't. I have had a relative, an uncle, who had never been without a car note his whole life. He'd always had a new car, though. Every 3 or 4 years he would trade it in and get a new car. And, I personally view every vehicle as an investment, and I know most vehicles go down in value, especially if it's brand new, but there are certain vehicles that you can buy that actually will maintain their value, especially if you look back at those people that bought the 1960s and 70s vintage muscle cars. Well, they've held their value. I remember back when I was a manager over aircraft and trucking operations for FedEx in East Tennessee, it's back in 93, that was requiring me to drive from Memphis to Knoxville. And I looked for many options how to commute back and forth, including small airplanes. What I settled on was driving my 10-year-old Corvette, which I already owned. It got 25 miles to the gallon. I could average 80 miles an hour and make the 400-mile trip in 5 hours on one tank of gas. And I knew that, like any vehicle, there's going to be maintenance. Well, a Chevy 350 engine is cheap to work on. The parts are cheap. And regardless of the mileage, I'd only paid $6,000 for the car when I bought it. So I knew that regardless of the mileage, I could probably get my money back at any time. And, well, I didn't buy it because I wanted the Corvette. I bought it because I wanted something reliable, and the guy selling it had been the dealer's nephew, so he got it cheap. And because he was in the bind where his option were either sell the vet or find a new wife, he was a motivated seller. So I was able to make a good purchase for that. So that's one scenario where I was able to take advantage of a situation that effectively allowed me to make a long trip with a relatively safe vehicle that could get out of the way of other vehicles if I needed to, and do it economically. And of course, I know one of the things to remember, speaking of wives, is that, there's people that we've all heard of that have decided to change spouses, and usually that's probably one of the most expensive things. Short of attorneys, changing spouses is probably the most expensive mistake a person will ever make. So I personally recommend just marrying once, marrying the right person, and staying married for a long, long time. Would you agree?
Absolutely. When I wanted to buy this farm, Roger Douglas, one of our instructors, our real estate instructor, took me and Mrs. Finelli out for a ride, and we looked at several farms in Missouri. We came from Virginia and spent several days out here. And I said to him, Roger, this was after a day of being in his truck with him, looking at all kinds of farms. I said, Roger, you never asked me if I could afford these farms that we're looking at. We were looking at 500 acres, 200 acres, and so forth. He said, well, I didn't have to. I said, really? How's that? Because all the other realtors want you to fill out this form, and the form, income, assets, where do you work, how long, all those things. And I said, you didn't ask me to fill out anything. As a matter of fact, you haven't asked me a single question. You didn't say, Vincent, do you have enough money to buy any of these? Or didn't ask me a single financial question. And he said he didn't have to. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, remember when I turned to you and said, well, how long have you and been married? And he said, I knew right then and there that you have been married, so long, and only once, that you haven't gone through those expensive mistakes. Mike Parsons and I will be right back. We're going to talk about oil filters. We're going to talk about how to buy propane, how to buy cars. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus, from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, call 1-800-933-1430. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU Online degrees, call 1-800-933-1430. That's 1-800-933-1430.
Would it be okay if you had 2 paychecks instead of 1? I'm Pharmacist Keith. Dr. Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy, and myself want to show you how to get an extra paycheck every month, creating an extra income that will last for years to come by joining Dr. Wallach's crusade, spreading his message of better health. To learn more, visit radio.recordedvideo.com. That's radio.recordedvideo.com, radio.recordedvideo.com, or call 866-257-3105 for a recorded message.
I was wondering why the intro is running so loud, so long. Mike, I looked up the average cost to repair a faucet in the United States, and the average repair cost is $168. Now, I've never had anybody come in and repair a faucet in a home that I've owned. Well, when we built this house, I bought a faucet for all the bathrooms, and it's the same exact faucet. And if you want to look it up, class, it's called the American Standard Colony. It's a 2-handle faucet, and it's a bar faucet. And this is what we put in our bathroom. So it has a higher neck. It's not that low faucet where you have to put your hands in the sink bowl to wash your hands. This has got a much higher neck, so if you want to wash your hair, it's a lot easier to do that if you want to rinse off in the sink. Well, anyway, the faucet itself is $55 at Home Depot right now, and it comes with a lifetime warranty for the cartridges. But I don't believe it's going to last a lifetime, so I got a couple extra cartridges. Now, the cartridges I just looked up on eBay, and they are about between $6 and $15 for the replacement cartridges. So in our case, we have 3 faucets that are exactly the same, and I just need one hot, one cold, a cartridge, and I'm good to go. So, but the point is, in order to live this way and in order to save money, you have to prepare in advance. You have to have what you need in advance, because if you have that dripping faucet and it's leaking, all of a sudden you go, I got to get this part right now, or I have to call a plumber right now. You are at their mercy, or you're at the mercy of whoever may have the part, and you're going to have to spend whatever it is if you want to fix it right then and there. But if you have the part in advance and you can shop for that part at your leisure when you don't need it, you can get those parts for $5, $6, $7, $8. And that's what I do. Mike, do you do the same thing?
I do, and I try to anticipate things that are going to wear out and have backups, contingencies, because the last thing you want to do is have something that's a critical component fail and you not be prepared and have the ability to fix it or, get it back in order as quickly as possible so that you're not suffering if it's a critical component such as your plumbing. Depending on where you live, heating and air conditioning. I mean, some people, they live in a temperate climate to where they can open the windows and sit on the front porch even in 98-degree weather. They can survive, and it doesn't get much colder than maybe 40 or 50 at night, and they can actually survive without heating and cooling. But if you're in a place where you've got temperatures that get below freezing and stay below freezing, and your heating source is a electric baseboard radiant heat, you might want to have a backup such as a fireplace of some kind or some other alternative means of heating your home, because if we have the electrical grid go down, such as not far from where I live, they had a substation go out. Now, according to the Memphis Light Gas and Water union workers, they said it was because it was a lack of union employees. They needed to hire more employees. Is the reason that the circuit breaker failed. And TVA said, well, it's because of too much power demand. And who knows? It could be that. Could be solar flares. We don't know. They're not going to tell us. They're just going to give us whatever they want us to believe. But at the end of the day, if you're prepared, it doesn't matter what happens on their end of the grid, because you're able to survive because you've made plans. In your case, you've got alternate power source. In my case, I've got an alternate power source. So it doesn't matter.
You're right. You're right. But what difference does it make? What the common thread in your family's outlook toward life and ours is that we have not gone on those vacations. We have not gone to, wasted money on these expensive. We got to go on vacation at a certain time, a certain year during the year. We put that money towards spare parts and things that we know are going to wear out and fail so that we have them. Another thing we'll talk about when we come back is what's called a hard start kit. A hard start kit for your refrigerator or freezer. We'll tell you why it's important when we come back.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Can your vitamin supplements positively affect your blood in 5 minutes? Protovite can. Protovite is a genuine breakthrough liquid daily nutrition that delivers quality ingredients into your blood in less than 5 minutes. Scientifically proven and backed by clinical studies, Protovite supports energy, vitality, and optimal health. Watch our 2-minute live blood cell video and see for yourself at vninc.com/prohealth. That's vninc.com/prohealth.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you could move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep REM sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry my pillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
Go to mypillow.com or call 800-870-0305 and use promo code GCN. That's mypillow.com or 800-870-0305 with promo code GCN.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Is negative content or comments on the web affecting your personal or professional reputation? Unfavorable comments, embarrassing pictures, videos, legal documents, and negative articles can ruin your personal life, your career, or your business. It happens a lot, and it's just not fair. But what can you do? ReputationDefender.com can help protect your good name. Get a free consultation now. Call 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Call right now for a free expert reputation analysis. It's easy to squash the unfair attacks with our patented system, and the analysis is absolutely free. Make the best things about you jump out in searches. Protect your personal and professional reputation, your business, and your income. Get your free reputation analysis from ReputationDefender.com right now. Call 800-831-0771. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com today.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine, and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Okay, class, we're going to save you some money today. And, many years ago, I bought a freezer, and I bought it on Craigslist, and it was called an Imperial Commercial Freezer. It's 22 cubic feet, and it's all freezer. And you can find these on Craigslist for about $200. And I bought one, it was working great, and I had to drive, 3 or 4 hours each way to get it, put it in the truck, took it home, powered it up, and worked great. And, of course, we cleaned it out and sterilized it, and then we put our meat and those kinds of things in it. Well, after a few years, it failed. It just stopped working. And the reason I know is because water started leaking out of the bottom as it started to defrost with all the meat and so forth in it. But that was okay because I liked this freezer so much I bought another one just like it. And it was just a spare. So we transferred all the meat from, the one that failed to the one that, the spare, and everything was good. We didn't lose any of the meat. And I thought, I'm going to fix this myself. And I haven't done that before. And I did some research, and I found out there's a thing called a hard start kit, HARD, start, START, KIT. And the hard start kit is, it's a compressor's capacitor. And your compressor in your refrigeration system has a capacitor so it can start the compressor motor. And a lot of times those capacitors will fail. Well, that's really inexpensive. And I'm looking at eBay right now, $13.39, shipping included. $13.39. Another guy's got one for $12.02. Another guy's got one for around $18. And then, of course, if you want to spend more money, you can buy the same thing for $33, $40, $50. But for $13 or so, you can buy this compressor hard start kit. It comes in a little bag and has 3 wires on it. And all you do is disconnect 3 wires from your compressor, and you use wire nuts, and you insert these wires in the place of your old capacitor. And you use a tie wrap, and you just tie wrap this compressor capacitor in place. It's like the size of if you took a roll of silver dollars, and you put that in your hand. That's about how big this thing is. So I put the hard start kit in, and it worked fine. And it's working fine, and it's worked for a couple years now. So, but the plan is you need to have it ahead of time. Because if you wait till the last minute when you absolutely positively need it and you have to go to the appliance repair store or the appliance store, you're going to spend $30 for this $13 or $12 part. So I wanted to share that with you, class. It absolutely positively works, and it works for lots of motors. Like if you have a compressor for air in your garage, or if you have an air conditioning unit outside your house, they have sizes for them too. So what a great way to go. Mike, have you ever used one of those?
I never have. I've heard of them, but I've never used one. I would just usually replace the capacitor.
Okay, and that's another way to do it. Okay, and you can do it either way, and either way just works fine. So I just wanted to let you know that if you have like we have a couple freezers, and actually we have multiple freezers, and we have a refrigerator. So all I need is one of these, and it will service all of those, the refrigerator and the different freezers, because the compressors are about the same size. So that's one way to go. Mike, do you have a specific trick of the trade that you found that you'd like to share?
Let me mention this. I just had a situation pop up, and as far as doing it yourself, it's obviously more cost effective to do it yourself. Not only do you know that the job is done right, but you're just going to save a ton of money. Last week, the steering on the Mrs. riding mower went out. So there's a little gear and a plate that's got some teeth on it, and then some bushings that have to be replaced. And the parts for this, just shy of $100 for these parts from the John Deere dealer, which is the only place you can get them. And I took it to a friend of mine that's a friend that's got a full machine shop, and it was just, too much for him to fool with at the time, or otherwise, if there just wasn't the parts available, I've got that ability already lined up. So I went ahead and looked at the cost of getting the parts, and then while I was there getting the parts, I asked the service guy, just curious, while I'm buying these parts, how much would you guys charge to replace this? And they called in the service manager, and then they called in a tech, and then they called in somebody else who was actually going to do the job, and they said, we'll do it for $500. I said, wow, okay, well, I appreciate it. I grabbed the bag and ran out the door after I'd paid it and got home, and I'd never done this before. It took me a total of 3 hours. Most of that time was looking for the proper size sockets and wrenches, but yet this is something that I had no experience in, but I did it with no manuals, just looking at it to see what I needed, and everything's working fine. But if I didn't have the right mental attitude, the can-do attitude, the want-to-do-it-yourself attitude, I would have ended up spending $500 or going and finding another mower. And neither of those are good options. And so at the end of the day, it's back in operation. I know how to do it now, so if I ever have to do it again, I can. And if anybody else needs any insight into how to do it, they call me. I can also tell them how to do it. Kind of the way things go around here, you tend to run into necessities, and you figure out ways to solve those things, whether it be large or small projects, and you always try to find a way to do it that's going to be cost effective. I know that when you built your barn, you were looking at many options, as we were when we first got materials to build our barn. And I never had any idea that we would end up with poultry house materials and use that as the backbone for a barn, because you never think of these things. But after doing the research and finding out that the strength of these were actually greater than the red iron for a fraction of the price, most people realize that if they've looked into this, that what they advertise as red iron is really not red iron. It's usually just some kind of a bent piece of metal that's welded. And when you start looking for a stamped engineered plan that has a wind rating and a snow load rating, they're kind of hard to find. And therein lies the problem. To get the real red iron stuff, you're going to spend an arm and a leg. To get something that has the same red oxide primer on it that kind of looks like red iron, but it's really not, is a lot less, but it's still not as cheap as what I was able to get these materials for. And of course, You and your son did just an amazing job on your building. I use yours as a bragging rights to show people what they can actually do if they try it. And you're not a contractor. You've never done that before, but with you and your son's ingenuity and determination, you've got a building that will probably stand up, I would say, to 160-mile-an-hour winds and a 40-pound snow load with no problem. What do you think?
Yeah, and here's what happened, class. Mike and I were talking a couple of years ago, I guess, and we started talking about ways to build a barn, and Mike said he had some connections where he could get us some used material that came from a chicken barn, and these are those barns from Arkansas that house thousands of chickens, and typically they're 350 or 400 feet long. Well, it's a huge barn, 40 feet wide. And we thought we could get like 120 feet or 140 feet of this. And he helped us with the supplier and get the right materials. And we talked about how to do it, and there are different ways. So basically the walls of this barn would be 6 feet, 7 inches tall or so, which is too short on the side walls. So what we did was we formed concrete, and we built a 4-foot high wall in concrete, 8 inches thick, put rebar in it, and then put the barn on top of that. So we have 4 feet plus the 6 feet 7. So we have 10 feet 7 on the side walls, and it's a great way to go. Now it's used material, has plenty of holes in it, but we put screws back in the same holes, as much as we could, and we built the barn for probably 1/4 or 1/5 of the price, and we have a better barn than if we just had a post wood framed barn. Much better, and it'll last longer. It's way better. So you can do those things, and if you have the will. Now, have I ever built a barn before? No, I haven't. Have I engineered concrete before? Not like this. So all you have to do is read about it, and read a lot about it before you get started, and maybe you'll make fewer mistakes. And so we made very, very few mistakes on this barn. Mike, I want to share something with you. So we're in the garage right here in the house, and we have an old Mercedes, 1999 Mercedes ML320. It's their SUV. And I decided that it was time to change the transfer case fluid. And I looked it up, and holds 1.6 quarts, less than 2 quarts of fluid. What's the fluid? Well, it's Dexron automatic transmission fluid. And you can buy that at the Chinese factory outlet if you want. And a gallon of this fluid, more than twice as much as we need, is $11.48. And then the front axle, it's an all-wheel drive vehicle. The front axle uses about 1.3 quarts of gear oil 90. And that is $12.67 a gallon. So I looked up, how much does it cost if you bring this thing to a Mercedes dealer to have the fluid changed? $1,500. $1,500 to have the fluid changed. And what's the cost? Well, you can get twice as much fluid as you need for less than $25. That's all the fluid and tax. Less than $25 for all the fluid. But their engineers over there at Mercedes will eliminate $1,500 from your wallet for this same fluid change. How long did it take? A half hour. So these are some of the reasons why we do our own work. And I looked up, what does it cost to change the spark plugs in a Mercedes? If you have a Mercedes 6-cylinder, and this is a 6-cylinder, V6, the labor to change the spark plugs is $334.85. The spark plugs at $10 each is $120 because it has 2 spark plugs per cylinder. The tax is $27. By the time they're done with you, changing 12 spark plugs is $482.14.
Exercise and deep breathing gets oxygen into the blood but does not guarantee you get oxygen into your 372 trillion cells. Largely, the essential fatty acids, alpha-linolenic and linoleic acids, control oxygen transfer from the blood to the cells. These essential fatty acids are called essential because they must be obtained from the diet on a regular basis. Many people are aware of the value of supplementing with flax or hemp seed oil. What most people don't know is that due to current methods of pressing, all these oils are significantly damaged and oxidized by the time you consume them. What everyone needs to know is that there are new seed oils on the market that are pressed in a manner that protects the oils from damage and oxidation. Even athletes get cancer, which means that despite their abundant oxygen uptake into the blood, the transfer of oxygen into the cells is not occurring. I invite you to try the Andreas seed oils and see for yourself what a difference you can feel in energy, reduction of appetite, and well-being. Call 888-988-3325 or visit sacredseedoils.com. That's sacredseedoils.com.
There are a lot of things in life that are hard to swallow, but your minerals don't have to be one of them. CRSupplements.com liquid minerals make that easy. The same size that a plant hair root absorbs, CRSupplements.com liquid minerals are easy for your body to use, and they are easy for you to add to daily liquid intake. Made in the USA and kosher certified, we offer 21 different minerals that may be lost in food processing or don't exist in foods grown on depleted soils. Choose easy. Get easy to swallow liquid minerals from CRSupplements.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you are having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
Attention backpackers on a budget. Why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viva Water Pump Kit from Viva Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viva Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99. Filter not included. Get your Viva Water Pump Kit at viba-odp.com from Viva Outdoor Products.
Class Mike Parsons is with us, and we're talking about saving a lot of money. And I mentioned spark plugs at $5 each, but when I buy them at $5 each, I get them with the $2 rebate, so it's $3 each. 12 of them is $36, so that I can spend $36 and do the job, if I do it myself, that Mercedes would charge $482 for. Now, when you buy spark plugs, there are three different standard types, three different categories, if you will. One would be a standard copper core spark plug, another would be a platinum spark plug, and another would be an iridium spark plug. Now, if your original equipment calls for standard, put in standard. If it calls for platinum, put in platinum. And if it calls for iridium, put in iridium. And the reasons for that is because the standard spark plugs have less resistance, and they will fire a bigger spark, but they'll wear out faster. So if you have a spark system that uses standard spark plugs, use that. And if it requires platinum, they'll last longer, because there's going to be a hotter spark. And if it requires iridium, that's an even hotter spark, which will cause the platinum to wear out even faster. So use the spark plugs that are called for by your manufacturer of your equipment. Okay. Now, Mike, I want to share something very quickly about insurance. And here's a big money saver. Now, many insurance companies will say, okay, how many cars are there? And let's say there are three people in the family. This is a mother, a father, and we'll say a son who's less than 25 years old. And the insurance company will say, or the agent will say, okay, so who's driving what? And you can say, well, we've got a truck, and we have a nice sedan, and we have a little sports car. And of course, Junior is driving the sports car. Well, that's probably the highest cost vehicle. So what you can do is you can say to the insurance agent, we have three vehicles, and what I'd like you to do is price the insurance for the lowest cost. So Junior may be driving the jalopy. Okay, we'll put him on the jalopy because he's the highest cost guy in our family, but we're going to put him on the lowest cost vehicle. And you can adjust the vehicles so that you have a lower overall cost of insurance. Now, that means that when someone asks Junior what kind of car he has, he doesn't say the Mustang. He says, no, I'm driving the old jalopy. That's mine. Every once in a while, my parents let me drive the Mustang. Okay, so that's how you can do that. Another thing you can, by the way, there's no loyalty. Insurance companies are not interested in saving you money. So you have to ask them. You have to shop for insurance. Another thing you can do, Mike, is you can call your internet provider. And you can, and there's no loyalty there because they keep raising your cost of phone service and internet every year, right? Well, what we do is we call them up and we say, we've been with you guys for a long time and we'd like to stay with you, but we just can't justify the cost. It just keeps going up every year. And we've been able to reduce our monthly payment for internet and phone by as much as 50% by just calling them up every 6 months or every year whenever they raise the rates and say, we'd like you guys and we'd like to stay with you guys, but it's really hard to, the way that the costs keep going up. And you ask for the customer retention department. And they're experts in doing this. So they'll find you the best plan, the best program, whatever it is, to keep you as a customer. They don't want to lose you as a customer, because finding another customer may cost them another $45 to find that other customer. So they'd rather give you a discount than lose you, and especially if they know that you pay your bills on time. So if you pay your bills on time, you can ask them for a reduced rate, and that includes satellite television, includes internet, cell phone service. We have a child who has, one of our children had cell phone service, and I couldn't believe how much it cost. So I got on the phone. I said, would it be all right if I called and talked to Verizon Shaft? And so I called Verizon Shaft, and I said, geez, we can't justify this. And I got the cell phone bill for our child down to half of what it was. So can you do it? Absolutely. Mike, quick thoughts before we go into the top of the hour? No? Yes, Mike, you there? All right.
Sorry about
we'll
that.
Be back. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. Mike Parsons is with us, and this broadcast is a special broadcast to save you money and make whatever you have last longer. And we're combining our about 100 years of experience as farmers and innovators and tinkerers to help you save money. And I just heard, Mike, I heard at the top of the hour, last hour and this hour, that the government top of the hour news, that the government has recommended or dropped its recommendation for flossing. And they said that there's no real evidence that it works. That is absolute nonsense.
Why would anybody want to get why would anybody want to get the food out from between their teeth? That doesn't make sense. Just leave it there. I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Well, Dr. Howard Shayne, I believe you've met him. He's a senior USA Prepares instructor. He's a dentist. And he has a fabulous practice. He has 6 operatories in this marketplace at his dental practice. And he says in his dental seminar, he says, and this is a quote, "You don't have to floss all your teeth, just the ones you want to keep."
That's right.
That's what he says. That's what he says. So here's another government recommendation for you to damage your health even further. Don't floss your teeth. It makes no sense according to the government. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, class, disregard that advice from your government minions, those whores that are paid to deceive you. Boy, it makes me angry. And I listened to it twice, Mike, and I guess it made me even more angry the second time I heard it because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They keep telling us putting this toxic waste byproduct called fluoride on our teeth is somehow good, even though it's a federal offense to put it in streams or lakes, but it's okay to put it in your mouth and swallow it, I guess. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, there's a warning right on the package that says if you swallow more than is used for brushing your teeth, call up poison control immediately. Class, read the box of your toothpaste. Read the tube of your toothpaste. It says it right on there. Mike Parsons, last hour of this broadcast, we talked about something that you didn't refer to as Max's Law, but I refer to it as Max's Law. You talked about not borrowing money. Max's Law says, class, very simply, buy the best, pay cash, and take delivery. And if you don't do all 3 of those things, meaning buy the best, pay cash, and take delivery, you have violated Max's Law. So let's say you buy a gun and you don't take delivery. You buy a gun, you say, I'll tell you what, hold on to it for me. Hold on to it. And then you'll pick it up later. Well, if you don't take it right then and there, something could happen. That person that's holding it for you could die. That business that's holding it for you could go out of business. Something could happen. The business could be locked down by the government. Who knows what? And you could lose it. And that's just a gun. So Max's Law applies to everything. Buy the best. And that doesn't mean you have to buy a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, but it means value, good quality. Don't buy junk. Pay cash, that settles the account right then and there, and take delivery. Now you have ownership. Mike?
Vincent, I want to see if I can get the folks' attention out there. If anybody's out there that's paying rent right now that would like to have a house and not pay anything. No, I'm not talking about some kind of a scam deal where you've got to invest in a real estate program. But if you're interested in stopping to pay rent and owning, I'm going to tell you how to do that. But first, I want to tell you, you were talking about car insurance only. Something that I used to do is every 2 years I would always change car insurance companies because my rates, number one, would never go down regardless of how good of a driving record or traveling record I had. And so what I found is that every 2 years I would shop around, I'd find somebody that would usually give me a whole lot cheaper rates. Even when I had my son who was driving or traveling age, living in the home, and we had a Corvette, when I had a company that would say, well, we're going to have to insure the youngest driver on the most expensive vehicle, I would say, nah, he doesn't drive it, and it's just a weekend-only vehicle, so I want an exclusion from him. Well, I shopped around. I found a company that would exclude him from the Corvette, and because it was only a weekend driver, it wasn't a commuter, my insurance rates were actually lower with the Corvette than if I had a regular car that I was insuring because it was just a weekend car. And then I learned that if you actually read your state's insurance requirement, well, it's not really an insurance requirement. It's an insurance of financial responsibility, which means if you can demonstrate to them you have financial responsibility, whether it be an insurance policy or a bond or proof via a bank statement showing that you've got assets on hand available in case you damage somebody else's property, well, you don't have to have insurance. Most people's states state that. It's just a matter of looking it up. Now, in the city of Memphis and St. Louis, in the state you're in, Vincent, they have a program called Mow It to Own It. If you go and find a property that is delinquent taxes that the city has taken back, and you're willing to go put in sweat equity, usually about $2,000 worth of maintenance and upkeep, could be mowing, it could be repairs on a structure. You own it. Free and clear, outright, own it. And guess what? It might not be the greatest place to live, but it's a free house you're not having to soak money into monthly that's just going down the drain. You might want to turn it into an investment property that you can rent, and all of that's possible. But at the end of the day, if you're renting right now and you want to invest your time and your efforts into something that you can actually own, that's the quickest and easiest way that I know of. Now, I've looked around in the Memphis area, and because Memphis is such a growing, expansive city, they seem to be annexing every other week. They actually have some places in what used to be Shelby County that people have vacated that are now tax properties, and you can certainly take advantage of those. You might want to get a couple of acres and a rundown house, move on to it by just mowing that property. And what'd you say, it's $600 to mow a half acre? You might end up.
Yeah, well, that'd be the high estimate for mowing a yard in in this country is $600. That's correct.
Well, let's say if you had a 2-acre lot in Shelby County and it's 5 foot tall, it might be that you only have to mow that a couple of times and the property's yours. Either way, it's a way to acquire property without having to pay any cash. You're just putting forth the effort and obviously the gas, and that's a good trade, I think.
Mike,
now,
there's an ad in our local newspaper that a farmer will do what he calls custom brush hogging or custom mowing. And for $45 an hour, he will brush hog, that 5 foot tall grass, if you will, or 4 foot tall grass. How long will it take to do a couple acres? I don't know. An hour or two?
See, this is the way
3.
Mike Parsons would do it. Mike Parsons would run an ad on Craigslist trying to sell off a field full of hay. I want somebody to pre-buy my hay. I'm going to sell it to you at $2.50 a bale. Then I'm going to find a guy that will cut, rake, and bale it for $1.50 a bale. I'm going to hire him and the guy to come out and buy it on the same day. So at the end of the day, I'm making $1 a bale for grass that I wanted to get rid of anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what I was talking about by tricks of the trade and things that we have learned over our combined estimated 100 years of experience of life. Great way to go. Mike, Let's talk about buying a car for a minute or so. And I believe I figured out when the best time to buy a car is. Now, if you're going to buy it from a lot, let's talk about a used car, okay? I don't buy new cars. I don't think you do either, Mike, do you? You don't buy new cars.
I've never bought a new vehicle in my life.
Okay. So if you're going to buy a car on a lot, first of all, you have to know what it is. So you do your research and you figure out what type of a vehicle you're going to buy. Then you have to time when you buy it. And when's the best time to buy a car or truck? In my opinion, that's when no one else is interested. And when is that? Well, September, they're thinking about Christmas. October, November, December, they've spent the money. It's all gone. January, the bills come due, and it's really hard to meet those bill payments for most people who are just not planning ahead. February, it's really cold. January, it's really cold. So right around the 1st of February, no one's on the car lots because it's cold. The weather's lousy. It might even be snowing. If you're on the car lot looking at a used car truck in February, early February, end of January, you're the only guy there. And they are so glad to see you because they haven't sold anything in a month, literally. And if you wait till mid-February, they haven't sold anything in 45 days, and they want that commission. So they are really motivated to sell. That is the time, I think, that it's best to buy a used vehicle. It's the best time to buy anything is when no one else wants it. So, for example, propane. If you want to buy propane, you don't buy it in the winter. You buy it in the summer. No one's thinking about heating with propane in the summer. And what you do is you buy your own tank. Because if you own your own propane tank, and I suggest the 500-gallon size, if you own your own tank, you can buy propane from anyone. If you have a leased tank from the propane company, they just drop it off, you're obligated to buy propane from them. And it's a much higher cost. It's not the same price per gallon of propane if you own your tank versus if you let them fill up their tank. It's more expensive if they fill up their tank because they've got you as a captive customer. If you own your own tank, you can shop. And the difference can be like the difference between $2 a gallon and $1 a gallon. That's how big the difference can be, easily. Mike, your thoughts on this?
Do you know where I go to buy cars? I go to business auctions. I go to the place that's got an office, that's got a staff. They're selling filing cabinets, desks, typewriters, phone systems. Nowhere in the ad is there a car. I always call the auctioneer and I say, okay, I see all this stuff in the ad. Do they have any cars? Well, yeah, they got this old Dodge minivan that was the secretary's runabout to run errands and stuff. Okay, I'll be there. I'm the only guy there to bid on the car because nobody else knows there's a car in the auction, and it's usually the last thing sold. Okay, by the way, we've got this 5-year-old Dodge minivan. We'll start the bidding off at wholesale price. Got any bidders? No. Okay, what you want to bid? $300. Okay, we got $300. We'll start there. Okay, great. Who'll give me $500? And nobody's bidding. And it's an absolute auction, and you drive away with a 5-year-old car for a few $100 because nobody's there to buy a car except you.
There you go. And I know that Mike bought a Ford, I think it's a Ford, for $300, didn't you, Mike?
$350, 4-year-old car.
Yeah. Pretty impressive, right? We'll be right back. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Do you know that good digestion is your body's first line of defense? Millions of Americans suffer from poor digestion. It shows up in the form of heartburn, acid reflux, GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, and many other symptoms. Healthy digestion relies on armies of friendly bacteria. These good bugs keep bad bugs in check. Probimune, a new, uniquely developed probiotic, is scientifically proven to get to your gut and deliver the benefits of improved digestion. Probimune is an immune system booster and a digestive health enhancer. It's simple to use, and most importantly, you will feel Probimune working, soothing, and relaxing the gut. Get yours today by visiting younghealth.com or call 800-396-9024. Again, that's 800-396-9024. Use coupon code DIGEST to receive 15% off your first order.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Ely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-958-9859. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-958-9859. Call 1-800-958-9859. 1-800-958-9859.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
You know, Mike Parsons, the last time I did a seminar like this in person talking about how to save money, half of the seminar attendees just walked out within the first half hour. And that's exactly the opposite of what's happening right here on the broadcast. I said I'll never do another seminar like that in person because people just don't understand what I'm saying. But here on the air, our ratings keep climbing. I'm watching them on TalkStream Live. We're number 21 out of all the broadcasts that are on that are measured on the internet right now. We're number 21 nationally. That's we keep climbing with this broadcast, so more people are interested in the kind of things that we're talking about and saving money. And so let's talk about the best time to buy gasoline. Gasoline is sold by volume, and if you buy gasoline when it's cooler, like in the early morning hours, rather than in the afternoon when the gasoline has had a chance to expand because of the heat of the day, I'm talking about in warm weather, you'll get more gasoline for your money if you buy it when it's cooler. And then if you look at the gas station, you see they've got these outside tanks, these storage tanks for fuel, and it's a hot summer day and that gasoline's been baking in the tank all day long. You're going to get less gasoline per purchase. You'll be buying a gallon, but it'll be an expanded gallon because gasoline expands when it gets hotter than if you buy gasoline that is in a tank underground. And when you buy gasoline, never, ever, 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 ever buy gasoline when that gas station is receiving a delivery, because they've got that tanker there, and that tanker is dumping the fuel into the gas tank underground, let's say, in most cases, and it's stirring up all the sediment on the bottom of the tank. And there's a greater likelihood that you may get some particulates or some contamination in the fuel that you're putting in your tank, depending on how good the filtration system is at the pump that you are dispensing gasoline into your car in. with. So be really careful and don't buy gasoline when they're receiving a delivery. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with all that. Another thing to look at is if you just go by your local gas station and look at the gas prices on Sunday afternoon, then go look at them on Monday morning. Usually the gas goes up Monday morning, drops down a little bit in the middle of the week, then goes up on Friday, then drops down on Saturday and Sunday. So if you see that trend, then you schedule your days to get gas on the days when the gas is going to be at its lowest, and you'll save money that way. I sent you an email last night. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it regarding the tax deductibility of contributions, donations, tithes, offerings, and gifts to churches and religious organizations. Did you have a chance to see that?
No, I haven't, Mike, but I heard you on the air yesterday afternoon on Republic Broadcasting. You called in and shared that information with John Stettmiller.
Well, I've got a friend, actually the fellow that got me into radio. And of course, Vincent, you weren't a radio broadcaster before you became a radio broadcaster, were you?
No, I was. The two things that I disliked most when I was in school was computer technology and public speaking, and right. I ended up doing both of those.
Right. I believe you and I both got into this out of a necessity issue where there needed to be a format, a platform to discuss issues that weren't being discussed, and that's what brought forward.
That's right.
You and I. The fellow that got me into doing radio is Pastor Andre Guy, and his website is andreguy.com, ANDREGUY.com. And if you click on his homepage and scroll down, you'll see a photograph of he and I and none other than David Duke. Well, I don't know David Duke any more than I know Andre Guy, but when David Duke came to town and had a lot of death threats for wanting to speak publicly, being into radio, that allowed me an opportunity to be able to get through to his people, and I was able to actually set up a conversation between Pastor Guy and David Duke. And what that did is that allowed me to bring two people that were totally opposite ends of the spectrum on the front of it, on the face of it. But when they got together, they realized they actually had a whole lot in common. They wanted to live in peace and do their lifestyle independent of other lifestyles, but they didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be squeezed out, if you will, of society. So at the end of the day, they agreed that they could live in peace and harmony separately if they so choose, but they could also communicate with each other without having to kill each other. And then when we try to present that, the news media picked it up, and on YouTube they put a presentation there. But basically, once we realize we're not against each other, we're all wanting the same things, then the system, which is trying to pit us against each other, fails, and we win.
Attention backpackers on a budget. Why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viba Water Pump Kit from Viba Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viba Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99. Filter not included. Get your Viba Water Pump Kit at VIBA-ODP.com from Viba Outdoor Products.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA-certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com. Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Well, thank Mike Parsons for rearranging his schedule to be with me today to talk about how to save money and how to make things last longer. Mike, one of the things that really bothers me is that Mythbusters, those guys, have said that it's not more efficient to drive with your pickup truck tailgate up, and it's not true. It is absolutely not true. I've measured the fuel consumption with various pickup trucks, a Chevrolet pickup truck with a full-size bed, a Dodge Cummins turbo diesel with a 6.5-foot bed with the extended cab. And there's no question, if you're on the highway and you're doing more than 50 miles an hour and you have the tailgate down, you will get better economy. You'll use less fuel with your tailgate down than with up. Now there's some concerns, and one thing is, if you've got something in the bed of your pickup truck, it might go flying out. That's one thing. So you don't want to do it if you have anything in a pickup truck bed. But the other thing is, if you're going to be on a long trip or a bumpy trip, you got to take the tailgate off so that it doesn't bang, 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 and damage the supports that hold the tailgate up or the tailgate itself. But there's no question in my mind that driving with the tailgate down will give you about 1 mile per gallon or 2 miles per gallon better fuel economy if you're at highway speed. Have you tested that yourself, Mike? We're looking for Mike. You looking for that mute button?
One of these days I'll learn to hit that mute button again when we come out of break, so I apologize. Yes, I definitely agree. We had added a tonneau cover to the Mrs. truck as soon as we bought it, and noticed a significant, well, with a full-size Ford 05 with a large V8 getting 25 miles to the gallon on the highways, I would say pretty good. But, of course, having a tonneau cover, which prevents all wind resistance in the box, helps in that regard, too. So we anticipated that we would eventually pay off the tonneau cover with fuel savings probably within the first 2 years.
I agree. I had a 1985 El Camino, Chevrolet El Camino, and I put a tonneau cover on it as well. And what I noticed is it had these fiberglass bows that kept the tonneau cover, in a position where the rain would run off it. So it was bowed up in the middle. But at about 67 miles per hour, the force of the air rushing over the top of the roof and coming down on the tonneau cover would slam that tonneau cover down, and it would go boom. And it was really alarming when it would happen. So there is a significant amount of wind going over the vehicle at highway speeds. There's no question. So you're absolutely right. And I did it for the same reason. At the time, I think a tonneau cover was $175, and it paid for itself as well. Mike, I'd like to talk for a minute about making things last longer. And this involves oil changes. Now, class, there are some risks to doing an oil change the way I do it. So I'm going to suggest that if you do this, you use precautions and try not to hurt yourself. But if you're going to do an oil change the way I do it, here's what I do. I make sure I have all the materials ahead of time ready to go. So let's say I plan on changing my oil after a trip, and I never change my oil when it's cold. It's always after at least an hour run. So I might go to Springfield, and if I'm going to come back from Springfield, I'm going to change my oil the second I come back. And what I do is I have the oil change pan ready to go. I've got the oil, and I've got the oil drain plug wrench, and I have the oil filter wrench ready to go. And I make sure the car is level, or the truck is level. And when the oil is hot, let's say I arrive home, I'll change into some clothes, leave the engine running, race down to the truck or the car, pull the drain, shut the engine off, of course, raise the hood, and so air can start cooling the engine, and I'll pull the drain plug out, and then I will remove the oil filter. And I'll wear gloves, and I want to make sure that I don't get burned, from the hot oil. So I'm very careful. And then I let it drain all night long. I want every last drop of oil out of that engine. Then I'll put the drain plug back in. And if the oil filter is screwed with the base up, I will fill the new oil filter 90% full with fresh oil. And of course, lubricate the oil filter O-ring or gasket after I've cleaned the mounting base, and I will put the oil filter in. And the reason I fill the oil filter is so that I don't start the engine and have to pump an oil filter's worth of oil before the engine is lubricated, because you can do 10,000 miles worth of wear while you are filling your oil filter, with the engine oil pump. So I try to make sure that I have as much oil primed in the oil filter as possible, and that's how I change the oil. And I always do it when it's hot, and the reason is I want in suspension as much of the dirt and particle matter as possible. And I change the oil. What I'm doing now is I change the oil about every 75 to 100 to 10,000 miles. I use full synthetic oil, but I change the oil filter twice, halfway through that period. And so I put 2 oil filters in it, where they normally recommend that I would do 1. And when I buy the oil filters, I buy them by the lot. I might go to eBay and I might type in the oil filter that I'm looking for, and I'll type in that oil filter lot, and then add the word lot, and I might buy a dozen of them at a time, or 11 of them, or or 14 of them, whatever it is. And I might end up paying $2 or $3 for a top quality oil filter. Mike, your thoughts?
Do you use a drain plug that has a magnetic material?
I do.
Okay. They used to sell a sleeve that would go around your oil filter that was basically a magnet, and it would help also collect particles inside the filter. One thing I learned while I was in college is that when it comes to lubrication, most of the time your lubrication doesn't fail because it's worn out. It fails because it's contaminated. And so the more filterization that you can have to keep the dirt and the fuel and particles out of it, the longer your engine will last. And so I've got magnetic drain plugs on everything that I have that's an internal combustion engine. And I also put a magnet on the filter. I can't find the sleeve anymore, so basically I find an old stereo speaker and I take it apart and stick the magnet on the filter, and that also helps collect. And I've actually cut open some filters and found just a huge pile of filings stuck to the outside of that, or the inside of that filter adjacent to that magnet.
Right. And one of the best locations to get a really, really strong magnet is an old hard drive, a disk drive from a computer. So if you've got an old drive lying around and you open it up, you'll find some very, very strong magnets there. I mean, you can, with a magnet half the size of a dime, you could pick up a wrench. Seriously. So
if I could say one thing, the only reason I brought up the issue earlier with Pastor Guy and Duke was that when making relations, you're saving money. Realize, right now, the other side, they're all about divide and conquer, and they're keeping us at odds against each other, and we keep playing the same game. And when we stop going into their courts, when we stop using their attorneys, we'll stop losing our property and our freedom. So we have to make relations. We have to play nice together, and that's what that was all about, realizing that we're not that far apart on 99% of everything, and the other one fraction of a percent, we can ignore that. And like you say, what is it you say? Don't call the cops because of the consequences. They're too great.
Yeah, I say never call 911. I also say never reelect anybody, nor promote anybody.
And let's add to that, never call an attorney. I know how much people, before we had car insurance, people got cars fixed. People were more careful drivers then because, well, if they didn't have insurance, they didn't want to come out of pocket. So they were more careful drivers. There were fewer accidents, and there were fewer lawsuits. Insurance companies drive up lawsuits because the insurance companies, well, the attorneys only want to, if you ever had an accident, the only thing the insurance or the attorney wants to know is there an insurance company involved? Why? Because that's easy pickings. Therein lies the problem. If we eliminate the insurance company and we go back to self-funding, then we hold all the keys, we keep our money in our pocket, and we prevent needless lawsuits.
I know a person who I was in the car with, and I said, you need to be careful. That car ahead of you might do something, erratic or strange, and you might end up being involved in an accident, and or the person behind. And the person driving said, well, it's okay, I'm insured. I thought, are you kidding?
They're trading their common sense for an insurance policy.
Right. And of course, then there are injuries that could happen. Innocent bystanders there are a lot of consequences, a lot of things that can happen in an automobile accident, that it's not a question of who was at fault so much as it is there can be, even if the other person is at fault, you could be really hurt. So it's crazy. It's crazy to say, well, I'm insured, I don't have to worry about it. That's nuts. Absolutely.
Well, I think this all boils down to expense avoidance, trying to avoid running into a scenario where ultimately you could be financially responsible, and taking individual responsibility, being accountable for your own actions and those of your family is ultimately the best savings that there is, because if you, as I say, love many, trust few, learn to paddle your own canoe, you're going to be independent, self-sufficient, and self-governing, and you can stand alone. You can play nice with your neighbors, but you can also stand alone when you need to.
And that's what we've determined, Mike. We have determined that there's so many people who have said to us, hey, we're with you, we're behind you, we're there. And when the going gets tough, in many instances in my life over the last 25, 30 years, I've been involved in skirmishes that were really, really rough, in wars that were really, really rough, like fighting a prison that was coming to town and fighting a massive garbage dump over 2 square miles that was coming to town. And people said, we're with you. And when I turned around, Mike, it was just me. And so you may have to stand on your own, class. Seriously. And you know, I've talked with many of our instructors, and we're all finding out the same thing independently in our own lives. We're finding out that those people who say that they were with us, they're really not. So you might want to just count on yourself and your family and just a few others. We'll be right back.
Today, I became a biophoton woman. I put a tablespoon of the Andreas 5-seed oil in my morning's One World Way drink and was still happy and energized at 3 p.m. Normally, I feel tired and spacey at the end of the day, but today I felt energy and very clear. My friend at the farmer's market asked what I was on. She said my eyes looked bright and I had unusual energy for that time of afternoon. I told her there was a magical oil that enabled my body to absorb the sun's energy as if I were a plant. She said, I want some. A second One World Way shake with the oil when I got home took me to bedtime with that wonderful, abundant energy. I couldn't believe how much I got done and how great I felt. The combination of One World Way and 5-seed oil produced a significant health event in my life, the kind that makes you feel you've been given your life back with a bonus, and I'm 64.
5-seed oil in One World Way. For your fantastic health, call 888-988-3325 or visit sacredseedoils.com.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Attention USA Prepares listeners. When you're on the road or have limited data or Wi-Fi, now you can listen to USA Prepares unfiltered and untapped at no extra charge on this non-federal phone number, 1-605-477-3249. Try it now to listen to USA Prepares 24/7 at no extra cost or data charges. These are not on federal lines. These are lines located on Indian reservations off the grid. Call 1-605-477-3249. No smartphones or internet needed. To hear USA Prepares untapped and off the grid, just call 1-605-477-3249.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Mike Parsons is with us, and we've got Bob, who'll be with you in just a second. Bob, I just looked up the cost, the average cost to replace a light switch, in your home. And electrician may charge $90 an hour, minimum of $150 to show up to replace a light switch. What does a light switch cost? Well, if you buy a 10-pack at Lowe's, I think I paid $3.47 for a 10-pack of light switches. So 38 cents a piece, 35 cents a piece, maybe. And what would it cost to have an electrician do it? $150. The answer is you need to buy a book on household wiring with lots of pictures, lots and lots of pictures, and you can do these things yourself. Bob in Michigan, welcome.
Yeah, another tip, you can pick up a lot of times electrical parts, switches, outlets at garage sales. Or
absolutely, for 35 cents or less.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was going to say another tip about buying a used car. One I recently did was find a dealer that has an excess of used cars sitting on their back lot, because they probably want to get rid of some of them. That's what I recently found. I ended up getting a used car for half the sticker price because of that. Plus, also I had cash to buy the car.
Yeah, cash is king. There's no question about it. It makes it very tidy, and you can say, I'm a cash buyer, and here's what I'm interested in. And if they give you a quote and you don't like it, you can say, well, I can understand why you're asking that. And you can say, but I can't justify it. I can't justify that. And thanks so much. And as you start to walk away, they say, well, what would you be willing to pay? You say, well, I can't pay that, and they'll generally come down very, very quickly. You're absolutely right, Bob.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that's what
Anything else?
Another tip people need to do, I don't know if you mentioned it, was check the cooling coils on your refrigerator and make sure they're clean. A lot of times
absolutely,
these
vacuum them out.
refrigerators, they have them tucked underneath somewhere and they get all clogged up with dust. And you have to keep them clean so your refrigerator runs properly.
Right, and also make sure your refrigerator's not empty. So if you have and freezer as well. So if you've got an empty refrigerator, it will cycle a lot more. The compressor and the electronics will wear out faster. The thermostat will wear out faster, and so forth. So you want to keep your refrigerator full. And one way to do that is you can have, if you've got those gallon juice jugs, you can fill them with drinking water and keep a few of them in there, and that will help keep your refrigerator fuller. And you can do the same thing by having not necessarily ice, but what we do is we fill up these plastic bottles like a soda bottle, if you will, squeeze air out of it and have it maybe 85, 90% full, and fill that with, put water in there, and then put them in the freezer, a whole bunch of them. And then if we go somewhere to buy meat or something that we want to keep cool in our cooler on the way home, we'll have the equivalent of ice, and we can put that back in the freezer and refreeze it, and the cycling of the freezer is less often. Mike, your thoughts?
Oh, I'm just thinking about how I'm fixing to go out and help the missus. She just got back on vacation. She was gone this morning on a leisurely trip through the country to the feed store. So we'll be unloading for about the next 2 hours. but there's so many things people can do. And right now, even the Blue Team, they've gotten in on the cost savings. I recently noticed more and more of these unmarked vehicles with the blue flashing lights in the grill, the tinted windows, and even the regular license plates. And apparently they're no longer wearing uniforms. They don't have badges. I've seen this, well, everywhere from just the regular car accident to the crime scenes to the, roadblocks, everything. And they seem to be doing just fine at making money, I guess. So just be aware that they're out there and be careful so that you don't get in their way.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is now it's getting harder and harder to identify them, and they figured out that they have made themselves into targets, and they would prefer not to be targets because many people are looking at all cops as the same and calling them the Blue Team. Bob in Michigan, thank you so much for being with us. Mike Parsons, thank you for being with us and sharing your valuable time teaching us how to save money. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Can your vitamin supplements positively affect your blood in 5 minutes? Protovite can. Protovite is a genuine breakthrough liquid daily nutrition that delivers quality ingredients into your blood in less than 5 minutes. Scientifically proven and backed by clinical studies, Protovite supports energy, vitality, and optimal health. Watch our 2-minute live blood cell video and see for yourself at VNIINC.com/prohealth. That's VNIINC.com/prohealth.